With verse 5, Jesus says these words, I am the vine, and you are the branches. If a man remains in me and I in him, he will bear much fruit. Apart from me, you can do nothing. If anyone does not remain in me, he is like a branch that is thrown away and withers. Such branches are picked up, thrown into the fire, and burned. If you remain in me, and my words remain in you, ask whatever you wish, and it will be given you. This is to my Father's glory, that you bear much fruit, showing yourselves to be my disciples. As the Father has loved me, so have I loved you. Now remain in my love. If you obey my commands, you will remain in my love, just as I have obeyed my Father's commands and remain in his love. I have told you this so that my joy may be in you, and that your joy may be complete. My command is this, love each other as I have loved you. This is the gospel of the Lord. Thanks be to God. The other day I think I shared with you briefly this story, but I was working at Bella Vista High School, and it was in the evening, and a man came in, and we had been moving some stuff. And his name is Robin, and he yawned. You know, it's at the end of the day, he yawns, right? And so I said, hey, you tired? And he just said, no, just really content. And it was a very casual comment. It was just an ordinary comment. But when was the last time that you heard that? Usually if you ask somebody how they're doing, and they're wearing something, there's some kind of disturbance, if you will, in their lives, some kind of aggravation, some kind of weight. And it just struck me. And I've gotten to know him over time, and the quality of his soul. He's a Christian. But it brought to my mind how important it is as Christians to understand that not only is Jesus supernatural in so many different ways, but he's also the most brilliant teacher of how to live your life and to take care of your soul. And if there's anything that is more important, it is the taking care of our soul, that he is the perfect teacher to do that. Now, this comes as a preface to chapter 15, because what we just read in the chronological time of his life. Remember, Jesus was 30 years old when he began his ministry. He was 33 and a half when he was crucified. He was risen from the dead and for 40 days ministered. And that's it. That's it. And the profound nature was that what he did, it was such a brilliant way to teach. Because what he did is he lived out every one of his teachings in his life, in his profession, in his life. And as he experienced it and lived it out, he was able then to share it. You can't really teach something unless you've experienced it. You notice that? It's like if you don't know how to tie a shoe, you can't teach someone else how to tie a shoe. If you don't know how to take care of your own soul and to create peace within it, you can't help anybody else. That's why Jesus says, you know, before you go and you try to pluck out somebody's plank or somebody's irritant, little tiny sliver in their eye, make sure that you remove the plank in your own. Otherwise, you'll just ruin everything, you know. You ever try to teach somebody to do something, you didn't know how to do it, you just made a mess of it. And so he taught brilliantly, and what he did is he took a group of people and he designated them not in any way church members per se. They were not to belong to an institution. They were not to belong to a group. They were set apart to learn a way of life and to learn a truth, and in so doing to be changed. And he designated them disciples because it's learning how to do it. It's learning a discipline. Everything that we do, we have to learn how to do, and we have to discipline ourselves how to do it. In your workplace, you ever have to train people at work? Okay. And it's a lot easier to train somebody if they have the discipline of attention. Ever try to train people that don't have attention? Or, oh man, that's just... And you can see somebody that has a quality of their soul, where their soul is, they've got so many things going on that they just can't stay focused. And it's very hard to teach somebody that has a lot of stuff going on inside. Now, for some people, they can take that and push it to a side and really focus, and that's a wonderful thing, because that's a great way to teach. But the quality of soul is how you will experience your life. If your soul is troubled, no matter what happens in your life, your soul will be troubled. And if your soul is troubled, you may have everything. A lot of times what we do as human beings, we get confused because we think we have to fix the outside first before we take care of our soul. And if we just had the outside circumstances fixed, then the inside quality of our soul would be perfect. And it's not true. And I can demonstrate it, because if you have a situation where your soul is messed up in any way, and all of us do, by the way, because we live in a world, we call it a sinful world. It's a condition where the quality of our soul, there are stuff in there that's actually poisonous, and there are things in there that will work against us and torment us in different ways. And so that taking care of our soul is so important. But here's a good test to see just where you sit with your soul. See if you can sit in silence for a day. Just see if you can't. I got to turn on the TV. Why? Because I'm afraid of my soul. I'm afraid of what might come up. And you can see if there's a peaceful, tranquil quality to your life, to your inner life. We don't talk about the inner life that much as a culture, but then Jesus talked about it all the time, and so it's important to understand his focus, especially when we read these words. If you can just sit in the quiet by yourself, just for an hour, just try it for an hour. Try meditating for a half an hour, not saying anything. Put some earplugs in, and be quiet, and see if it just won't. That will give you a temperature reading as to what's going on internally. So Jesus comes in, he says, I'm the vine, you're the branches. If a man remains in me and I am him, he will bear much fruit. Apart from me, you can do nothing. Verse 7, if you remain in me and my words remain in you, ask whatever you wish and it will be given to you. This is to my Father's glory, that you may bear much fruit, showing yourselves to be my disciples. I'm going to teach you how to do this. And if there's anything that Christianity needs to recapture and reclaim, it's the care of the soul. We've focused on the spiritual dynamic to an extent, but when we exclude it from the soul, you cannot exclude Jesus from his teaching as a master teacher. If he's the Savior of the world, without a teacher, it will be completely lopsided. You'll get a distorted view of Jesus. It's kind of like you can't separate Bach from his music. Bach is his music, and his music is Bach. Same with Beethoven, same with Mozart, same with any musician. You can't separate them from their music. In the same way, you cannot separate Jesus as a teacher. So he's talking about the words. He has now spent, he's at the end of his life, he's getting ready and preparing his disciples for what's going to happen to him, which is he's going to die, he's going to be resurrected. He's got 40 days after that to teach them, and then that's it. And he spent 3.5 years giving them instruction. It's not the instruction that we're used to. It's soul instruction. It's not worldly out here, how to build this or how to build that or how to manipulate that or how to run this or how to manage that. It's how to take care and tend to your soul. If there's anything about Christianity, it is no way, shape, or form an insurance policy for when you die. How that came into Christianity is a perversion and a distortion and nothing short of the devil himself. And we have eliminated the very essence of Christianity, which is about transformation. Salvation starts here. Because if you're free in here, and you're free in here, you're free everywhere. But if you're not free here, and you're not content and happy here, and let me tell you something, if you don't know how to take care of your soul, you will always think that it's an emotional state, and an emotional state is not a conditional state. So you're chasing after emotions. Oh, I just want to feel this emotion. I just want to feel this emotion. You know people that carry around drama with them? Okay? Drama is not a conditional state of the soul. Contentment, peace, joy. Joy is a state of the soul. It's not emotional. And so Jesus, as he teaches how to do this. And he says, if my words, verse 7, if my words remain in you. And how do you do that? How do you take a quality of person? Let me ask you this. We all probably have people that have influenced us in a great manner. Maybe it's a grandfather or a grandmother, or maybe it's a mentor of some kind. Someone that we really look up to. And the way that they taught and the way that they lived their lives actually left an imprint in our heart. Ever have that experience? I've heard this happen at memorial services. Oh, we're going to carry this person in my heart forever. And that's what they kind of mean, is that something of their nature, something about their nature now lives in me. Maybe it was their sense of peace. Maybe it was a mannerism that they did something, but it remains in me. Because I can take parts of my soul. If the soul is a garden, as it's often depicted, I can take some of mine, and even if it's a fruit, let's say I have joy. The fruit of the Spirit is, give me one fruit. Joy. Joy. Take joy. Just take joy. I can take some of that fruit and plant that seed in your soul, and you'll experience it. Have you ever been around somebody and you're feeling something and they took it just happens by osmosis. If you get two fields together, they're going to blow seeds into each other. And therefore, sometimes if I'm with somebody that has that peace of God, it actually gets planted in my head and in my heart. I don't even know what's happening. Have you ever left someone and you just felt more peaceful because you were with them? That's what I'm talking about. The opposite also is true. If you get around somebody that's negative and pessimistic, that stuff can also blow into your field. Have you ever just been like in a pretty decent state of mind, and then you maybe it's somebody at work, or maybe it's somebody that you know, maybe it's a friend, I don't know, somebody, but you're hanging with them, maybe you have coffee or you do something, and you get done, you're just like, God, I just feel like crap. Same thing. We have that ability to do that with each other because within us is a living being called a soul, and we can transfer seeds. That's why Jesus says the kingdom is like a farmer. Who's the farmer now? We always thought about what the seed is and the soil, but who's the farmer? That's a rhetorical question. I don't need an answer. Just ask you that. In that story, think about who the farmer is. But from that reality comes the principle of common attraction. In other words, another way to say that is like attraction. Like people attract like people. Negative people attract negative people. Positive people attract positive. Why? Because the quality of my soul is going to try to find a person that has the same quality of soul so that we can have fellowship. And so, this is a negative example, but back when I was younger, and I was indulging in, because I had glaucoma, and I had had to relieve my glaucoma with some pot. You could find a pot smoker in a room. Anybody ever know what I'm talking about? Yeah, some of you former drug people know exactly what I'm talking about. You can go into a crowd and you'll find them. What are you laughing at? You know what I'm talking about. You can go into a crowd and you can pick them out, right, Bill? Why? What is that? It's that principle. It's that principle of common attraction. That you will call into your life whatever is the quality of your soul. If you have a quality of soul that's messed up in any way, you will draw people that are just as messed up into your life. So what Jesus teaches, and that's why when you think about how he refers to his disciples, what he calls them, you're the light of the world. What does that mean? You are the ones that know how to go in and turn on the light and figure out, oh, that's where that comes from. There's times in which I'll be talking with people and someone, will make a comment. And they'll make it, I'm just dumb. Or, you know what, that never works out for me. And I'll just ask the question, who told you that? Because somebody told you that. Nobody grows up thinking that way. Somebody planted that seed. And then you, for various reasons as human beings, we let the seed grow and now it's a tree. We don't even recognize it's a tree. We just assume that that's the way it is. So when Jesus is talking in chapter 15, he says, I'm the vine and you're the branches. I'm the one that connects you. My soul is what Jesus says. When Jesus says, my peace I give you, have you heard that scripture? My peace I give you, not the world. It's I give you my nature. The quality of my soul I give to you. Not personality. We get that confused. We think our personality is our nature. No. You can have all these people, all of us, we all have different personalities, but we all can have the same nature of peace. And that's how love is expressed. Love is not a personality type. Some people can say, oh, I'm very outgoing, therefore I'm more loving. No, you're just outgoing. That's just a personality type. Love is the quality of your soul that's patient and kind. Doesn't need its own way. Believes all things. Hopes all things. Love never fails. It's a nature that results in a state or condition of your soul. It's not emotional. Emotions may come from it, but by its very nature, it's not emotional. I'm an emotional human being. So are you. But the state of your soul is not based on your emotions. It's based on the state or condition of your soul. This making sense? Okay. So, if anyone does not remain in me, he's like a branch that's thrown away and pitched. Let me ask you this. This is very good kind of indicator. Verse 6, if anyone does not remain in me, he is like a branch that's thrown away and withers. Such branches are picked up, thrown into the fire, and burned. Now, how many people see punishment in this? That's not because of what it says. That's because somewhere in your soul, that's what you believe. And you're reading it into it. There's nothing about punishment here. This is a reality of life if you tend to vines. But you see, and this is so important, when you read the scriptures, thoughts come in as seeds. If thoughts came in to your head as the full plant, you'd recognize it for what it was and never let it get into your head. But it doesn't. It comes in as a seed. Seeds are very, very small. They come in under the radar. Sometimes they're just blown in. You don't even know it's there. You just happen to turn on the TV and a seed came in. You ever have this experience? God, this is a powerful one. Let's say you're taking a plane ride or a train ride or something. You open up a magazine, and this magazine has an article on this disease. Never heard of the disease before, but it's got all these symptoms. And you start reading the symptoms, and you start going, oh God, I got that. I think I might have that. Well, one of the symptoms is, a scratchy kneecap, and I'm scratchy kneecap. Oh my God. What just happened there? They just put the seed in there. You weren't even paying attention. And that seed started to grow pretty quickly. Some seeds are designed to grow really quickly so that you get an immediate response. You better hurry up and buy it. Here's a seed. Limited time only. How's that make you feel? Gotta hurry up, gotta hurry up. And how does it feel to hurry up? Horrible. We live in a whole society that's built on hurry up. One of the things, I don't know what it is about me, is just a seed that has never allowed to be planted in my heart. I don't have any irritation when it comes to driving. I'm not angry if people drive faster than me. I'm not angry when people cut me off. I'm not saying it's because I'm a great person. I'm just saying for whatever reason, I don't have those seeds in me. But I'll tell you one thing. I was in Monterey this last week, and it was the middle of the night, and I had to get up for some ibuprofen because my head was killing me, and I put on my glasses, and I found myself for a very, 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 very brief amount of time going down the wrong way on a street. And there was a car, and it was like honking, yeah, and they were like flipping me off and everything, and I'm sorry. I just didn't care. I mean, it's not that I didn't care, but it didn't rile me up. But that's a condition of soul. And here's the point. We can all have that in our lives. And we all want it in our lives. We all desperately, really, really, really desire it, but we don't know how to get it. And so we're searching. And that's why when Jesus begins his ministry, he says, I got good news. For those of you that long and hunger for righteousness. And before you think righteousness being a bunch of rules and regulations and laws and stuff, just think of this. Doing the right thing. Let's just keep it real simple. Spike Lee, do the right thing. Do right by your friends. Do right by your family. Do right by those that persecute you. This is why Jesus says, when a person comes to you and slaps you, do right. Continue to do right. Do not become bitter. That's going to be your tendency, because when someone violates you, they not only give you that experience, they put in a seed. They take your soul and they churn it up and they leave seeds. And if you do not tend to that, those seeds will grow into big, huge plants, and they will grow into resentment and anger and bitterness and distrust and protection, and it will leave your garden fortified but desolate. No joy. Protected, you bet. Protected and guarded, and desolate. And if you ever want to describe our culture, that's where we are. We've got more gated communities than we've ever had. We've got more laws on the books than we've ever had. I've never in my 48 years of life experienced, at least from this vantage point, of a culture that is so easily prone to anger. Anger is our nature now, not peace. You take a look at all of the words that we use and the programming that's coming out, and it's all designed to push anger. And so Jesus says, let me help you with that. Because I don't think anybody wants to go through their whole life being angry. Nobody. So Jesus says this. In verse 6 or verse 7, if you remain in me and my words, rhema, remain in you. Meaning, and how do you do this? It's one thing to say, if they remain. How do you do it? Well, you do it through living a spiritual life. You know how to take care of yourself physically, right? You get up. Somebody had to teach you how to shower. Hopefully, you didn't have to learn on your own, but okay. And we all here know that you have to shower at least somewhat regularly, right? If you're not going to do it every day, all right. But please don't go for a month or even a week. Can you kind of keep it a little more common? But we all know how to do that. We all know it's important that you have to brush your teeth, right? Okay, that's the physical. Who told you how to take care of your soul? Probably nobody. Which is why nowadays we're left to Oprah, Dr. Phil, and television to help us. Do you trust television how to take care of your physical life? No. Jesus is the master of how to do that. And so one of the things that he teaches is prayer, meditation, solitude. Meditation, I have rediscovered the power of it. In this culture, it is frowned upon, not frowned upon, ignored, and then poo-pooed. I want you to think about this for a second and see what comes to mind. If I asked you to spend a half an hour in quiet meditation, what would be one of the first few things that come to your mind? I don't have enough time. I don't know how I can possibly schedule it. It doesn't work for me. I've tried it once. It doesn't work. But I guarantee you that if you began to take Jesus' words and just simply place them before your mind and go into self and learn, as the disciples did, the discipline. See, discipline of mind is the most important. You ever experience raising kids and they go off and they do something really stupid, right? And then you go and you ask them, what were you thinking? And they say, I don't know. The same is true for adults. We just don't have anyone calling us on it. We just blow things up. But the reality is, if we can once again reclaim the power of our faith, and what I mean is our faith not only as doctrine in terms of who Jesus is, but our faith in what he has taught, that we have confidence that what he is saying is true, and we take what he teaches and we place it before our minds and we learn the discipline. Just for a great example, for one day, because I know we are people of habit. We are people of habit. And if you disrupt our habits, it gets all wacky. So when you try to start doing spiritual stuff, it's like running a marathon. You don't start off by running 5 miles in practice. Start off slow. And that slow may be buying the shoes. It may be that slow. This week, just take a day and don't watch any TV, and don't leave it on in your house. Just try it and see if it brings up any discomfort. Take one day and don't listen to any radio and see if it brings up discomfort. And then take that time and just be quiet and meditate on his word. And I guarantee you, you will see things you've never seen before. The reality that exists behind everything. So let me give you this. We're physical beings, but we can hide in our bodies. In other words, if something's going on with you, let's say Sequoia comes in for rehearsal, right? And let's say he's got something going on. He's a little edgy. He doesn't have to tell me what's going on. He can hide in his body. He has to be willing to let me in to know what's happening. Which means we have to spend time together. He has to be willing to let me in. I have to be willing to give him my attention, and that's how it works. The same thing as God. God is in all of creation. Everywhere is God. But he's hidden. Not in the same way that we're hiding from someone, but the same way that we can hide ourselves from all those around us. Have you ever been into a big, huge area, big, huge group of people, and felt completely alone? And nobody even knows it, right? You're hiding within yourself. You remain hidden. You're not doing it purposely. You simply remain hidden. God is everywhere. Saturated everywhere. But until we be quiet and listen, we will not be able to see him. Sometimes our busyness in church work stops us from actually hearing God. It's no different than a married couple or a parent. I can do a lot of stuff with my son, a lot of stuff. But what's most important is to be quiet and listen. Same is true of my friends, my family. And when we meditate, we are simply being quiet and listening. And I guarantee God will speak. He will speak. In the end, this is what Jesus says at the end of this little verse. I've told you this so that my joy may be in you. I want my people so much to be in joy. I certainly didn't come to the world to burden you. It's not my desire at all. And that's the desire of any true good parent. They don't want to burden their kids. No parent that has a quality of soul that's worthy of the honor of their role. I'm going to say that again. Very important. Parenting is a role. In order to fulfill the honor of that role, the quality of soul must match the honor. If your quality of soul, it's not a judgment thing, it's a discernment thing. If your quality of soul is poor, you have no justification for being in that position. But when your quality of soul is good, and it doesn't have to be perfect, but good enough to nurture, then the role is fulfilled and the blessing is restored. That's why God steps in and says, I'm your Father. Because on earth, no one can give you what I desire to give to you. Some of us have good fathers and good mothers. Some of us not so good. Some of us poisonous. Remember what I said about quality of soul? If you have a parent or a family situation that's poisonous, they're just putting those seeds in there, or worse yet, they're taking the soil and poisoning the soil. And the soil itself has to be nurtured. But either or, it's God's desire for us, His love for us, that extends Himself through Jesus and through His teaching, that we become transformed. People say, okay, we're a new creation. How does that work? It works with God when we are quiet and we meditate. And I'm not saying that please don't turn this into a rule, because then you'll beat yourself up. And that's the last thing you need to do, is beat yourself up. I've tried so many different things. Have you ever tried something new and you say, okay, this is how I'm going to do it. I'm going to do it this way and this way and this way and this way. And as soon as you start doing it, you're not able to do it the way you want to do it. So you just say, forget it. You ever have that happen? I'm going to go running. And I'm going to run every morning. And after I run every morning, then after, so much time, I'm going to be able to increase it. So the first day that you're going to get up early and you're going to go running, you set the alarm clock and the alarm clock turns on. You're like, snooze. And then you wake up and you didn't go for your run. So what's the next thing that you do? You beat yourself up. You stupid. You can't even discipline yourself. You can't even. And so now, I guess I am worthless. Might as well eat a donut. Because now what's the point, right? And it just snowballs. That's the effect of law. That's when law is in effect. Everybody by their very nature hates law. The other day I got pulled over coming back from Monterey. I'm like a magnet for cops. So I get pulled over. I'm way over in the fast lane, but I'm not going that fast. I'm really not. Don't you sure me? I know. Cell phone, not on the cell phone. I'm doing everything right. I don't even have the radio on, man. I'm meditating, kind of, sort of, as much as you can on the 605, right? I mean the 680. And the cop pulls me over, and so I'm not really feeling that well anyway, and whatever. And I pull over, and he comes over, nice young gentleman. He says, you were going a little faster. Is there a reason why you were going so fast? I said, no, not really. I guess I just wasn't paying attention. well, the speed limit's 65 and you were going 75. And I'm thinking to myself, my God, that's not speeding for me. It's not really for me. I don't think it's speeding for anybody, but that's just my personal thing. And he says, well, even if you're going 1 mile over the speed limit, that's speeding. You're right. Now, the good thing was, I wasn't feeling that well. So I was just kind of like, whatever. But if I was feeling the way I normally feel, which is pretty good, I'd be like, yeah, don't you tell me. I would just be, it kicks off that rebellion. Have you ever had that? It's like, don't you pull me over. Even if you're speeding, you're like ticked off that you're pulled over. Even if you're blatantly breaking the law, no, I'm breaking the law, but I don't care. I shouldn't be pulled over. How dare you pull me over? Who do you think you are? I'm the police. I know you're the police. But you know who I am? I'm the person that should not get a ticket. That's our nature, right? Everyone's got it. And then he asked me for my registration. So I go through this thing, and in my house, there's some things I really care about, some things I don't. Registration, I don't. So I got an envelope with all these registrations, and they're all past expired. I'm like, oh, fuck. And so I start giving him the wife card. Yeah, my wife gives me this, and I tell him to put it in. He's like, yeah, I know what you mean. In the end, he didn't give me a ticket. But I shared this story because it just triggered all my rebellion. And when it comes down to prayer and meditation and the things of God, it cannot be a law, or it will trigger all that rebellion. And quite frankly, laws don't work in relationships either. You ever try that? They just don't work. But when we make it a desire, a goal, a desire that we want, I want to start to meditate. Okay, why don't you take 10 minutes? And I'll show you during the day when you can do that. And we set our heart, and this is what I'm talking about, our setting our heart towards the kingdom. God will respect it and honor it and desire to allow us to change because of it. It's like you, and it's like any good parent with a kid. Your kid does good. Don't you want to give them good stuff? Yeah. Oh, you are so good. Let's go to GameStop. Oh, you're so good. Let's go to Baskin Robbins. It's a mutual thing. And when we set our hearts toward God, there's times where God showed me stuff that was, he just placed it in my mind. It's not this profound, oh, if you're waiting for, oh, you're not going to get, oh, because very seldom do you get, oh. It's more just like, a little subtle thing like, hey, think about this word. And it's just beautiful. It's real is what I'm trying to say. It's not kind of comic book store kind of thing. And he would place before our minds something, and it would just play out so perfectly. So my friends in Christ, what we read about as we practice this, verse 12, my command, not a law, but it is not an option either. Don't make it a law, but don't make it an option. It's like saying, I'm going to be a Christian, but prayer is an option. No, it's not an option, but it's not a law. You hear the difference? It's like when I grew up, we had to eat dinner at 5:30 every single day, which was great, but when it became a law, I got punished if I was late, and it worked against me. I learned to resent it. You see what I'm saying? When you are in relationships with other people and they place laws upon you, you will resent them. Let me say it again. It doesn't matter if you are a parent or a friend or a pastor or a lover or a spouse or a brother or a sister or a grandfather. If you place laws into your life on other people, it will only plant resentment. Amen? However, there are some things that are still required. So you can't make love a law, but it is still required. This is what Jesus means. My commandment is to love one another. And who really doesn't want to do that? and be loved. So as we continue, I'm going to say something and probably keep teaching on this for a while. I think we are at a time and place, at a time and place where we desperately need to reclaim the joy of Christian transformation. The joy of it, the beauty of it, the gift of it, the gift of prayer, the gift of meditation, the gift of solitude, the gift of the presence of the Holy Spirit, to reclaim this Christian way of life that no other way offers, by the way. That is the only solution to the poisonous condition of our souls. And if you don't think the soul is being poisoned, you can use tormented. There are many people that are just as tormented, disturbed, unsettled, longing, thirsty, desolate. Jesus Christ is the answer for all of it. And he's a brilliant teacher. He'll teach you. He'll teach you. And when that happens, his very nature comes in. And we take on the nature of Christ, just as we take on each other's nature. We do. The more we hang out with each other, we hang on. I was talking, I'm going to close with this. I was talking the other day. I was at the band thing. I was working. I said, yeah, you just have to push this thing down and then chunk. It's fixed. And someone went, chunk? What's that mean? Or we're going to jam? We were doing something. And I said, you just do this, and then chunkaroo, it's all done. And someone said, chunkaroo, why are you saying that? I said, because way back when I was 22 years old, I lived with Dennis DeWall for 1 year, and that's what he said, and it stuck with me. It's a great way to describe things. Yeah, if you want to know how to do this, you just push the broom and then chunk, it's done. It's so playful. You see how it's so beautiful? We can do that with each other. And when our souls take on the nature of Christ, life is just a beautiful party, beautiful feast, where we share the fruit of each other's souls with each other. And it's the way life is intended and created to be. And with that kind of life, guess what? You don't die. Because the thought of death has no room in your soul. Because you realize that the life that you are living has the nature of eternity. You know it. You don't have to try to believe it. You know it. And that's why Jesus can say, if you continue in my word, you will know the truth, and the truth will set you free. That's what he means by that. Okay, let's pray.